Go.
We did it.
Oh my
Good
God,
enough.
we did it.
That was the best we've ever done, dude.
Oh my God,
Ooh,
we're
that
off
was the
to a
first time we
great
were
start.
synced.
Okay.
Third time's
I
the
feel
charm,
like my
baby.
microphone is too loud. We're going to move it backwards.
I'm sitting
I can
a little
adjust
bit
it in
back.
post. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's what we're relying on.
The snowball works best if you kind of shove your face into it. Just
Right? If I just come up over here.
yeah. All right.
Great.
So my
I
name
can't
is
wait
Rich.
to
You could
peek
find me
this
at
mic
youtube.com/richwrites.
Oh, I'm Frankie. You can find me pretty much anywhere at FBD45.
I'm Jake. I have a plug, but I'm not going to use it because it would be less funny if I did. So.
Aw. You don't want to plug your Twitch anymore? Or now?
No.
Yeah, he got banned.
Yeah. I already got banned. No.
Yeah,
banned
for
for playing
soliciting
Cookie
children.
Mama.
It'll be. Yeah, I'll be banned soon. It's all right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
By the time
Anyways,
this is posted.
I want to point out, after rewatching our last podcast, I think there were two hilarious things that I noticed. The first one was how, like, Frankie started the podcast doing great, and then by the end of it, he was just plastered.
Yep.
And so he starts off like, "Hi, I am FBD45," and then he ends it with like, blah, 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 blah.
I just end screaming.
So just start the first 5 minutes and then just click to the last 10 minutes. And
Oh,
you'll get the
I
full
literally did that today to show my friend about this.
Yeah.
effect. Good.
The
Oh, and then the oh fuck, Jake, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that this podcast is mainly just halfway through. Frankie and I just get so drunk that we're slurring all of our words, and then Richard's still trying to hold it together and keep a cohesive
And we're
conversation
just-
going. But it's okay. It works.
It does work. It's a good relationship. Another thing I noticed was, Frankie, you and I just cut Jake off constantly.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
and it got worse the drunker you got. So this podcast, our challenge is we can't interrupt Jake when he's talking. I mean, or each other, preferably. You know, like,
Yeah,
let's
preferably.
not. Oh my god.
we did it already.
Every
Off
time
to a
anybody
great
is
start.
I've
interrupted,
already
you
been
take a
kicking
drink.
the mic, so I'm moving it back.
Yeah, if you interrupt someone else, you got a drink. Sorry,
Oh, no.
Frankie, them's the ropes.
Should I get like multiple White Claws at the ready and let you two talk for a second?
That's what I have ready. I mean,
I was gonna
You
go
didn't
grab a
get it
pop.
ready before
I
we
have
started?
I
one.
have 3 drinks ready, and one of
I'm
them's
just
the
gonna
size
go
of my
grab a
head.
laptop.
So
BRB.
Oh my god.
okay. Well, anyways,
While Frankie's gone, I discovered cucumber lime seltzer
And I'm
with
back
plain
with
vodka. And Frankie cuts me off as he gets back. That's
Whoop, got
off
a
to
drink.
a great start. Anyways, we all watched 2 different The Thing movies. So we watched the terrible old version, and then we watched the great new version.
Oh my god, so amazing! It had a spaceship.
Yeah, we watched the 1982 version of The Thing, and then we watched the 2011 version of The Thing, and we're going to talk about it because this was Jake's request.
yeah.
Yeah, he changed it because we were taking too long once again.
Yeah, you know, the original idea was to watch the Jaws, basically trilogy, because there shouldn't be any more movies after the third one, and the third one shouldn't exist in the first place. But after watching the first one, it really wasn't. I mean, the third one's just bad, but there's not really much to talk about. I guess it's more interesting talking about the second one. But either way, we could lead the practical effects conversation of that movie kind of into The Thing too, because The Thing obviously is
Superior.
made by its amazing practical effects. The first one, the remake. Obviously,
Remake's amazing.
yeah, obviously the remake's
yes.
incredible practical
What a
effects.
masterpiece.
That probably 2.
So that's how we arrived onto The Thing 1982 and The Thing 2011, and here we are.
I think we should start with the 1982 version, get all of our thoughts out
Yes.
on that,
It's
and
hard.
then I love it. I really
just
love it.
amazing. It's great.
It's
Let
like
me,
there's so much to love, and it's like I'm trying to. where do we even begin? It's like, oh my god. Someone else
Part
pick
of me
where we
wants
begin.
to begin with the end. Like, oh my god.
We can't begin with the end.
I know, but it's just so good. That was like the first thing I watched because like I said earlier, I didn't watch it because I've seen it a lot, so I just watched some like plot dissections.
Okay. I rewatched it last night, and I noticed so many more things the second time watching it.
Like how
Mostly because I wasn't in a room full of drunk people, but Frankie.
It's for comedy though.
I think like what I love so much about it is how the characters all do different things. Like they're all very distinct. They all have their own jobs and they all add something unique to the group. And to have this situation where they're in this isolated setting and then throw in this monster into the mix and seeing how all these people who are so not prepared for it react, it's genuinely terrifying and really engaging.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Here's what I'm going to ask. Are we going to compare them side by side or are we just going to do like Spider-Man? Because I feel like we should compare them side by side at that point.
I think I'd like to talk about the original first, and then when we get into the thing 2011, we can compare them.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah,
Right.
it's
But yeah, it's just everyone has a role in it. Like it's not just hi, we're a bunch of people in a room and oh my god, there's an alien.
so the 2011 version. So we are doing comparisons now.
I wasn't trying to do it, but it felt like
Here's a challenge. Here's a challenge. We don't mention the 2011 version until we finish this one.
Like we
That's
did
the
not
next
mention
drinking game.
Spider-Man 3 at all until we got there.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
We can't focus on the bully kid.
The conversation back to like Spider-Man 1, and you were just like, "But Spider-Man 3."
It's hard not to talk about. Very loud.
Yeah, it is. It's hard not to reflect on the one that's easier to poke fun at. It's
Yeah.
But yeah, for the original, it's definitely a lot of the experience comes from the isolation, that feeling of being like, all right, if I was in this situation, I don't know what I would do. It's unbelievably terrifying and unpredictable. And the thing that I'm not going to mention the other version. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I was about to do it. I'm not going to do it. The thing that this movie does so well is how it constantly has you on your feet thinking of who is the thing, because you really don't know for the first large portion of the movie, and you really don't know for, I think, maybe 75% of the movie who is the thing currently. Yeah. And it selectively shows itself at certain points where it feels like it can take advantage of the situation. And I think that's very artistically well done on the side of the horror aspect of this.
Yeah, it's like constantly not knowing who the thing is and never knowing who you can trust out of our characters just makes it so scary, because it's like if you and your friends, you don't know which one is the fake, then what do you do? Because obviously it's insulting to have someone accuse you of being the thing if you know you're not the thing. But you know, it was just imagining me and my friend group like that. It's like terrifying. And on top of that, I love that the fact that the creature is very intelligent. Like, it doesn't just come out whenever it wants to. It only comes out when the humans force it to. Like, if they're about to discover who the thing is, or if they already discovered who the thing is, or if it's threatened. That's the only time it comes out.
Not when it's anxious.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't mention. I didn't mention anything, but you know,
we're not mentioning anything.
No.
We're staying on track.
Yeah, it's
not like some other movie.
Not. Oh my god. But no, it's just the way it's shot too. It's just everything is amplified.
Beautiful.
Like those tiny hallways that they're running through, and it's just beautiful shots of like. And I don't even, were they in Antarctica actually? Like, I don't know. I didn't do that.
I think so.
Like, it's gorgeous. It's like it just feels so isolated no matter where they are. If they're in a room filled with people, it still feels isolated.
Yeah, like I love the cinematography. I noticed that. Like, all the exterior shots of this snowy tundra and the mountains just really sell how isolated they are here. And they make these little tight corridors shadowy, and you don't know what's around the corner. It's just, there's a lot of clever camera work, and it's just a really clever movie. It's like every single second you could tell that they put a lot of effort into the way things looked and felt.
Yeah, this is I believe John Carpenter has said that this is the movie he's the most proud of, but also this is the movie that I think probably of his that bombed the worst critically and at the box office.
What?
Critics hated it.
I have 2 quotes that I pulled from reviews for this movie that at the time, in 1982, the summer of 1982 when this came out, these were, one was from the Chicago Times or something, and one was from the New York Times. So the first one from the Chicago Times is, "The Thing is basically just a geek show, a gross-out movie in which teenagers can dare each other to watch the screen." My other quote is from the New York Times, and this is taken directly from the article, "Instant trash, overproduced garbage."
Wow.
Whoa. I mean,
That's the 1980s version of a YouTube comment that says you're gay.
That's it.
trash.
Instant trash. They didn't even
Instant
care. They're
trash.
just throwing that out there. So it's really hard to be like, wow, I can't even see what perspective these people had of the movie at the time, because we have a lot of people now have such a great appreciation for what it did, and especially with obviously practical effects and how it kind of came together. It had a pretty big budget too for the time, which was like $15 million, which was big for 1982.
Yeah, Jesus.
I don't know how they got the budget for that, but they definitely used it.
Everyone does know that this is also a remake, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's probably the greatest remake ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does a lot different from the original, or at least I hear. I never saw the original.
I've seen clips of the original.
Supposedly, is really bad.
You know what else got terrible reviews at the time? 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes,
Really?
it did. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was another movie that got pretty awful, just ravaging of critics across the board, and
It also got it also did terrible at the box office. Same with Fight Club.
Huh.
And these are movies that we now recognize as like some of the greatest movies ever made. And it just goes to show you that if you're patient, not everything is a failure.
No, every movie has its ways and its perks, just like one we'll talk about later. Does it?
yeah. I also would like to mention that so this movie came out in the same summer as Blade Runner did and as E.T. did. And so families went to go see this cute little alien movie of E.T. And then 2 weeks later, this horrible monster freak out, gross out alien movie comes out.
Oh no.
And it gets destroyed at the box office. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I know that's like a theory that kind of floated around as to why it bombed so badly at the time. But it's unfortunate. It's really bad timing.
I feel like that's happened
That is really
recently
bad timing.
or something. I can't remember what movies though.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's definitely playing to different audiences, obviously, but it's like at that time, I guess maybe if you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go see some alien movie. I don't know if there's 2 alien movies that close together and they're just so drastically different in tone. Maybe it's just really shocking to people.
Yeah. No one likes to see, I want to go home. Oh, look, my spaceship too.
Imagine taking your 5-year-old to see E.T. and then 2 weeks later taking them to The Thing thinking it's like the same thing.
Oh my god.
Oh, well, it's got aliens in it. It should be nice. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
we just saw that one. He's got the
fine.
little short guy. He was so cute.
He was in the
I'm just saying-
closet. It was adorable.
He had a wig on.
And then some guy tries to use a defibrillator on a body and he gets his arms eaten off. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
When I
Yeah.
was a kid, I loved E.T., But whenever they showed like the like kid having medical problems and ET having medical problems, that freaked me out so much.
Oh my god! I have my similar thing as Cinderella. I gave it back to my mother because they said they were mean to her.
That's kind of the point.
I know, but I was a child.
It's
Understandable.
Fair,
We're getting a little sidetracked.
Okay, back on the thing.
Oh, I would like to mention about the defibrillator scene as well. This was a nice little Easter egg, or I guess tidbit that I found. So when in the famous defibrillator scene, which is one of the other really, really good jump scares of this movie, besides the blood test scene, which we could talk about later. When he tries to defibrillate the guy on the table, I forget the name of the character, but he gets his arms chopped off by a giant mouth that opens up in the center of his stomach because he's one of the things. And so they cast a guy, after his arms are ripped off, there's a shot of him like flailing around with his bloody stumps. So what they did for that was they cast a guy with no arms and put a mask that looked like the actor on his face. So if you like slow it down and zoom in, you could see it's kind of like a rubbery mask that he has on his face, and they just cast a guy with no arms for that one shot, which is just such a great little detail. It's like amazing.
Oh my god.
It's like, who would do that these days? Like, who would just go out of their way so far to do that little thing that they could just... there's so many workarounds for that, but nope, we got to cast
Just
some
CG
guy with
over
no
his
arms.
arm. Fuck it. Who cares?
Can we find a
That's
man
incredible.
with no arms? Please.
I think this is a great time to mention how much we can gush over the practical effects, because these are some of the best, to this day, practical effects ever to be put into a movie.
Oh
Yep.
my god.
Maybe the best ever in any movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Really
James
it is.
Cameron did build the whole ship.
I would put this above Jaws in terms of practical effects.
Yeah, I would too. I think the care, because each shot of like one of the scenes where like the thing would come out, where it's either in the dog pen or when the guy gets his arms eaten off, and the head like falls off the table and then grows spider legs and then
Oh my God.
throws its tongue out and leaps onto something. Like each shot is a new practical effect, and it just goes on for so long in each scene with these tentacles whipping out of the body and all of these different things. And it's like, that must have taken so much time and coordination. It's insane.
And it never got lazy. Like, they were never lazy with it single
Yeah,
time.
it was never like, oh, look, here's that thing, the same looking thing again, rah, rah, rah. It was always just these beautiful monsters that they had to make grow in different ways.
Yeah. And, like, I think the coolest one for me is the first time you see, like, the dog transform into the thing, and how you see those, like, red tentacles erupting out of the fur, and the dog going into the thing version. I still, to this day, cannot fathom how they did that, and I really don't want to look it up because I think it'll ruin it.
I still think my favorite moment of the practical effects is when they give him the defibrillator and all the little tentacles just like spewing out.
Oh yeah,
And
it's awesome.
It's like it's beautiful. It's like you see each piece just swaying in like the wind almost. Beautiful.
It's for the dog scene, there were two things that I picked up on that I didn't notice before. Actually, three. The first one is that when it initially opens up its mouth, and it's like that flower petal, kind of like it like loses its head, basically, like it opens up to the dog's skull of the first like thing dog, and the skull of the dog falls off, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it looks so cool because it's just like, okay, I've used this part of the animal, I'm just gonna drop this part of it. The skull falls out. It's great. And then there was this weird thing where it was like shooting, I guess they probably used like a hose or something, but it looked like it was shooting this like white liquid at the poor dog in the corner of the kennel, and it's just spewing this gross, disgusting stuff out, and it's like they just kept adding things on and on and on, and then when it reaches its full form at like the last part of the kennel scene, it opens up again into like this flower petal thing with all these teeth lining the edges of each petal, and then I realized each petal is a dog's tongue. It's so gross and disgusting and unnecessary, but it's
so
like
cool.
amazing.
It's one of while we were talking, I looked up who did the effects. It's the same guy who did the effects for like RoboCop and some stuff for Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's those attention to detail practical effects. I thought it was by the guys who did the Jurassic Park dinosaur stuff, like them, but no.
One of the guys who did work on Jurassic Park actually came in later to help the first guy who was 23 when he did the practical effects for this movie. The main guy.
Shit.
He was
And
23.
He was 23.
He was our age.
Yeah, he was basically our age, and he did the practical effects for this movie. So it's not like he had
He may have
years in the
done the
industry.
practical effects for this movie, but I made a sandcastle this summer, and that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. That's cool.
You made a sandcastle at 21.
Listen,
That's pretty cool.
it was pretty cool. I love
Good
how
job.
Frankie and I took a drink at the same time.
I was like, oh no, there's a silence. What happened?
We're drinking.
You know how when one person yawns and another person yawns, it's the same for drinking.
Yeah, me and Rich have this weird drinking connection. Only us. No matter how far away we are.
I think that another element of this movie that I love was how distrustful all the characters became of each other. Like there was that one part where they all thought that McCready was the thing, and they're fully ready to flame him. And McCready can tell because McCready is a really intelligent guy, and he's holding the dynamite and the flare, and he's like, "If you shoot me, we're all gonna die."
I'll blow us all up. It's over.
God, Christopher Nolan's such a hack. He stole that fucking terrible scene from The Dark Knight from this movie.
Oh, no, Rich, no.
Yeah, this is definitely my favorite Kurt Russell performance in any movie.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not
I
even
love Kurt Russell.
close.
I
I
love Kurt
love
Russell,
him. He's
but
so
I think
good.
this is the best.
Yeah, he's incredible. McCready is just such a
I think-
great character.
Yeah. I think my favorite Kurt Russell performance is either this one or The Hateful Eight. I really love him in The Hateful Eight.
Speaking of which, parts of the score for this movie that were not used, Quentin Tarantino grabbed them for The Hateful Eight by Ennio Morricone. He grabbed them and
That's so
used them
cool.
in a couple of the last scenes of The Hateful Eight, which I've never seen The Hateful Eight, but I just the score for this movie is just so good. It's just droning, and it's never like invading the scene, like it's overwhelming, like setting the tension, but it's just behind the tension, and it just adds on to that fear constantly. And I love the score so much. I've listened to the score like just on my own time while I'm doing homework and stuff. Just it's so weird and creepy, but I love it.
It's amazing. And I love how when this movie does it uses its score perfectly, because when the tension is building and we're getting to that climactic moment, the music cuts out.
Yep.
And it signals to you that like shit's about to go down. It's not like some other movie that we're totally not going to mention where
Or we're not
the
gonna
music
probably
is
end
just
up talking
constantly
about for
playing
an
and
hour
never
and a
shuts
half.
up. Yeah, that.
That.
It's like they know when to turn the music off, which is it takes a lot of restraint from the creator, because you want to use all the songs you have, but if it doesn't add anything, take it out.
Yeah, you
And I
paid
think
for
that's what-
this. Like, it's,
Yeah, you paid for it too.
Come on, yeah. It's silence is definitely probably still somehow one of the most underutilized aspects of a horror movie. Still, I think Hereditary does silence incredibly, and I like
Yes.
how Alien uses silence with no score. Like these hallmarks of horror movies just know when to use silence instead
Yeah.
of anything, and it's
You know
perfect.
what?
Exactly.
You know what movie actually used to silence very well? Ted. In the fight scene they have in Ted, it's just silence.
Yeah, I think the teddy bear in Ted is probably up there with practical effects
Yeah.
with the thing.
I mean, that's it was a mix of the two, but like the silent. I don't know why my mind always like goes to that scene with silence. Just this man fighting his teddy bear.
You know what movie had a great use of silence?
Cinderella.
Cats.
Cats.
Oh no! I still haven't watched it. I'm going too soon. Oop.
Oh, it's a masterpiece. You need to. Best movie of 2019.
Was
Maybe
it because
ever.
you sliced your ears off after you heard the first song, so there was just silence for the rest of the movie, and it was
I like
the
Yep.
best part of it.
music. I've seen Cats 15 times in theater form.
All right. Well, I think we have to kick Frankie off the podcast. I think that's
cooler when
deadly
it's
sin.
live.
We have a job opening for a podcast
Taking
team
a
member.
third host.
I saw it on Broadway. It was so good.
Wait, Frankie, before we fire you, can you give us the password to the Instagram?
Yeah, it's literally just connected to my account. There's no password or username to log into.
Okay.
That's fine. We'll figure that out later. Anyways,
This is a good time to plug. Everyone should follow us on Instagram. Where the
It's true.
The
We have
Frankie
podcast.
podcast, because I don't know what it's called.
Mystery.podcast. I have to check.
That's simple.
Yes, it's mystery.podcast.
That's good. That's easy to look up.
How many followers do we have? Like 12?
16.
Nice.
That's not
One of which is my mother.
bad. Hey,
Did she watch the podcast?
No.
a follower's a follower.
Yeah.
Two-way closed down.
Nice.
Time for the third.
Anyways, the blood test scene.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Did you guys see a video? I made this like a year ago. I made a video just about the blood test scene. Did you guys see
Probably not.
I thought you just did one about the Thing and Alien. Was that a different
it?
video that you did?
I made a video
Oh, for
called
jump scares.
Alien
Yeah,
versus
yeah,
the
yeah.
Thing. And then I made a video before that called the Thing, something about jump scares.
Yeah, jump scare title. I remember that.
When you use
Yeah.
sand and you didn't understand the reference, but you did it anyways.
Oh, I mean, okay, look, my videos from a year ago,
Okay.
were they good? No. But do we have to talk about that? I think that visual gag was good, and you can go fuck yourself.
I mean, it was, but you didn't understand it was the best part.
I didn't. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked.
we got a lot
The
to talk
blood
about.
test scene might be the best scene in the whole movie.
I think it's
It's-
the ending.
It's up there. I definitely would say it's up there. It's jump scares are rarely earned as well as this jump scare obviously is. I mean,
Yes.
Jump scares are probably my least favorite thing ever in anything that's ever existed. I easily get scared by jump scares constantly.
Yeah, it goes number 2 Nazis, number 1 jump scares.
Yeah, number 1 jump scares, and I like
Number
getting startled
7
by
Nazis.
good ones. And this is a very, very good one.
Probably the best that I've ever seen, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's like, because at this point of the movie, nobody trusts each other, and they're all like trying to get their voice heard about how they think they should go about this. And nobody wants to be tied up. Nobody wants to cut their thumb and bleed into the petri dish. But they all know that it's what they need to do. And also, they know that McCready will flame them or blow them all up if they don't listen to him.
It's not
So
like
they just go with
some
it.
fillings.
What?
Yep. That's a yep.
Sorry, I had to.
Yeah, I think one of the best little moments of this entire scene that drones on forever, basically, with each petri dish that they put the little electrocution thing on, or the soldering thing, is that the shot where the jump scare happens, where he's kind of, it's like an angle that's like pointing up towards his face, and he's holding it with his hand, and the angle at which he like puts it down, they use that exact same shot like 2 petri dishes beforehand, and it baits you into thinking, okay, they're using the same shot twice. There's no way that this is gonna be this scare, and then it happens,
Yeah.
and it gets me every single time because I've seen this movie 3 times, and it still is like I'm waiting for it to happen, and I forget, and it's just like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, no matter how many times I see this movie, which I've only seen it twice, but this jump scare
enough.
still gets me, even though I know it's happening. And I think it's because, like, yeah, that. Also, they're building up the tension so well, and when he's going to put it in, he's arguing with one of his other team members.
Yep. Yeah,
and
that too.
He's suspecting that team member, like, outwardly, like, saying, we'll do you last, thinking he's going to be the thing. And so the movie is making you pay attention to the argument that they're having rather than the action that's taking place, which is him going to burn the blood. So you're not even focusing that much on the blood. You're just focusing on what they're saying to each other. And then once he puts the wire in, you're just not expecting that scare to happen.
Yeah, I feel like that theme fills throughout all of the movie too, where it's just like you don't know what's you're just left in like, what the fuck? You're just left with like, you're left on that edge of the seat feeling throughout the entire thing until almost the end, when then now as an adult I realize it's so much more important, but like you don't know what's happening until you like go over every little detail, and you still somehow don't know.
It's amazing. I love this movie. I love it. Like,
yeah, the way that they kind of throw you off constantly is just, or I guess the way that John Carpenter throws you off constantly, is just really, really impressive. And I guess one of the, if you remember the specific shot where it's before the thing happens at all, where really nothing happens, and when the dog's inside the base, and the dog walks into a room where all you can see is the silhouette of one of the characters, and he just turns around, and you don't know, and then it just cuts, and you don't know what happened, because we know the dog's the thing, but we don't know what happened in that scene. I guess he casted someone specifically to play the silhouette, because he didn't want anyone to realize which character was sitting in the chair, so he put someone that wasn't even in the movie in that chair as the silhouette, so that you would have no idea at all whatsoever who it was.
And I love
That's brilliant.
I love when people
It's
do
great.
that. It actually happens a lot.
It's such a throw off.
Oh.
Nice.
that's brilliant.
Yeah. And then it's one of those scenes that cuts out with a fade to black, which is something I don't think that's used like at all in movies really now, especially the fade to black after each scene. It feels like the ending of like a chapter. You know, it's like a passage of time, which is so effective to me.
Yeah, you're constantly.
I think it's one of those things that got used so much that people eventually got sick of it in the 90s.
Yeah.
The fade to black. And I think if it's used well, then it's perfectly fine, which in this movie, it's used very well. But, I mean, I could see how people got tired of it. I get it.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, that on top of other things that about this movie that made it feel obviously like it was made a while ago and it's a classic, it just made me feel so nostalgic for other movies like that. That it added just another layer to the movie. Even though, like, nostalgia doesn't make a movie good or bad, it just added something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Frankie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Do y'all want to talk about the ending, or do you have anything
Oh,
else?
Yeah,
let's
I guess
get
just-
to it.
Wait.
Wait.
Just one little quick thing before we get to the ending. I would just like to mention that this movie was originally supposed to be directed by the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Thank God it wasn't.
But John Carpenter picked it up at the last second. He was about to say no, and he was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then they gave him this big budget. They gave him basically the reins to do whatever he wanted. And that's just, it's so good to see a movie that has like a very specific vision by a director and all these intentional choices and everything that just makes it like so perfect and such a cult classic. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm really glad that they picked John Carpenter to direct this because he did a great job. So the ending.
Frankie, just go, Frankie.
Okay, just the fact that you have to pay attention to the way the man breathes to understand it fully is gorgeous. The fact that you're still on that edge of the seat feeling, I'm hitting my chair, because it's so good. You're watching this culminate of, you still don't know what has happened, and you're just watching an end. And it's perfect. It's, oh my God, this movie made me want to be a film major. Like, oh my God.
I'm actually a film student, so my opinion is worth more than yours.
I'm not one of those people. I love Titanic. I like Wall-E. Like, I'm an awful film student compared to some of these other people.
I'm a film student. My favorite movies are Fight
Tarantino
Club,
and
The
Woody
Shawshank
Allen?
Redemption, The Godfather, Inception.
Citizen Kane.
Woody
okay.
Allen deserves a better rap. He definitely didn't date a 13-year-old.
He just got a better
His
rap.
daughter.
His stepdaughter, adopted daughter, whatever the fuck, not married to right now.
This is a weird tangent. Woody Allen just unsubscribed from my YouTube channel.
Good.
Oh no, he was learning so much. Oh no, now he has to unsubscribe. He's learning how to write movies from your channel.
Woodrow, I'm sorry.
Below me. Oh my god.
Anyways,
Richard, do you want to go?
Okay, I love the ending. It's just so somber the way that all of them consecutively agree we are going to die, but we need to kill this thing with us. And it's just such a beautiful moment between these characters because think about it, they're not friends really, they're coworkers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
imagine, like I can't imagine me looking at the cashiers at Whole Foods and being like, all right, we're gonna die, but it's for the greater.
I mean, don't you do that every day now, basically?
Listen, y'all, we're gonna go down, but it's for the greater
For the
good.
greater good, guys. Come on.
But I mean, like, it's a beautiful moment between these characters where they all have like the expressions on the actors' faces really sell what they're feeling. And they all have the plan, and it doesn't necessarily go well. And
does not.
do we want to get into the Molotov cocktail theory?
That's
Oh God, no. All right. So I looked into all of the theories for
Wait,
the
hang
ending
on.
of this
Before
movie.
you debunk it,
Okay.
Don't debunk
can I give my rant?
go.
Look,
Can you
I
what?
cut Jake off. It's okay. I'll take the drink.
I already took the drink, so
I wanna explain this shit.
Just go.
Okay, I subscribe to this theory.
same.
So McCready he clearly has tons of Molotov cocktails. They throw the TNT into the rooms, and then he throws a Molotov cocktail that detonates the TNT. They do this tons of times over and over and over again. And then at the end of the movie, in this last scene, the climax, where the thing is trying to kill them, the character Childs, is that his name, Childs?
I think it's Childs.
Yeah.
Childs.
It's like,
Childs.
He
Childs. Yeah.
is just mysteriously not in the scene. And then when McCready seemingly kills the thing and blows everything up, he's the only one left alive, presumably. And then Childs comes over and they start talking. They both sit down, and McCready's breath is huge. Like, you can see it in the cold air. It's so noticeable. And Childs, even though you can see it, it isn't nearly as big as McCready.
No, it's just.
And
he's
McCready, yeah. And McCready offers him this bottle of alcohol, and Childs accepts it and drinks it and doesn't react. And McCready chuckles and looks off. And so by this theory, the bottle of alcohol isn't actually alcohol. It's kerosene or some kind of gasoline that was used for the Molotov cocktails. And because Childs swigged it and didn't react to the fact that it wasn't alcohol, this means that Childs was the thing. And McCready looks off, seemingly accepting the fact that he's going to die because he knows that Childs is the thing now and he's the only one left. And this is just kind of him accepting his fate. And to add to this, the whole breath thing, the thing thrives in the cold, it dies in the heat. That's a big theme of the movie. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the thing wouldn't release steam out of its breath when it breathes, or maybe it breathes in a different way than humans, that's an explanation for why Childs' breath isn't coming out. And this is a theory that I subscribe to because, to me, from the perspective of a writer, it doesn't make any sense to have a character live to the climax and then have them to just disappear for no apparent reason for the climax, just to return when the climax is over. I don't think that was an accident, because the alternative to this, in my mind, I know Jake might, it seems like Jake's disagreeing with me, but the alternative to this is that the breaths were different because they may have shot each of their takes on different days, but that doesn't explain why, from a writer's perspective, you would take this character and just remove him from the climax of the movie, the most important scene, and then just have him come back immediately afterwards. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But Jake, you look like you want to debunk me. Go for it.
It's not really a debunking, I guess. It's not. I've seen all the theories going around about the ending, and I people get really heated about the ending, and I don't know why.
You disagree with me? Fuck you. Fuck you.
I think that's the thing about the ending is
you're gay. Your review is gay.
my appreciation for the ending, I guess, comes from the fact that the ambiguity of, because John Carpenter, I mean, obviously directors, they can say whatever they want, and really it's like people are going to make of the movie whatever they want to make of it. But John Carpenter has said that the ending is ambiguous because he doesn't want people to, he didn't really want these theories flying around, because the intention is just the ambiguity increases the sense of paranoia, because the fans by the end of the movie are paranoid as to, oh my God, who's still the thing? This is still the central theme of the movie. Oh my God, who's the thing? And I guess for me, it doesn't matter if either of them are the thing, because the ending of the movie is just, that's what makes it so powerful, I guess, is that feeling of paranoia is still there, that I don't really care if either of them are the thing or not, because, whatever, it just doesn't matter, because it just still fits that theme of the movie so much. I love speculation. I love theories and stuff, but I guess for this movie, it doesn't grip me as much, especially because there was no sequel to the movie, and I'm glad there is not a sequel to the movie. But without a sequel, it feels so whatever. I mean, if both of them are the thing, or if none of them are the thing, it's the thing perfectly replicates humans. If it breathes in the cold, or if it doesn't breathe in the cold, it's whatever. They could both be the thing. We don't know. We haven't seen it before. It's just, I think it just adds to the themes of the movie so well that I love that aspect of the ending, and any fan theories. You can just believe whatever you want to believe. I really couldn't give less of a shit. The movie's amazing. It's incredible.
I mean, the theories add to just how amazing it is, because you're just constantly thinking, and the edge of the seat thing where you're thinking about breath. Why isn't his breath as smoky, foggy, whatever the fuck as the other guys? It's just, you've been put in this position that you're thinking every little detail to try to get to that point.
Yeah, if you're that far in where it's you go through all of these lengths to find it, it's all right, he's succeeded in making you paranoid as shit too. Yeah. And that's what I love about it so much. But
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely could be Childs could definitely be the thing. It's not it's not possible, but I think just the ambiguity of both of them or none of them being the thing, or one of them, is just great.
This is John Carpenter's spinning top.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
It's absolutely his version of the spinning top, and I love endings like this. I don't think any movie aside from The Thing and Inception had an ending that made people theorize this much.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could think of an example if I wasn't a few drinks in, but I mean, it's definitely up there. Yeah, it's definitely, the level of ambiguity is definitely crazy in terms of, because I feel like most directors, if they make an ending like this, they want you to figure it out there is an answer. But for John Carpenter, he was there's no answer, but it's whatever you want it to be. So I'm glad that it's just kind of like it's like a choose your own adventure book in terms of picking what the ending is.
Choose your own adventure.
That's a similar attitude that Christopher Nolan had with The Spinning Top, because he said that he didn't expect people to think too much about the spinning top. He said that if you think too much about the spinning top, then you're missing the point of the movie.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that was like his perspective. But from an audience perspective, that may have been your intention, but now it's a thing that's in the movie that we can theorize about, and it's really fun to theorize about.
It is. Yeah. It is.
And it's like, it takes a really subtle and restrained director to make an ending like this, because
it does.
Most directors want to blow their load, and if they have a meaning intended in their head, they want the audience to get that meaning. It takes a very restrained director to swallow their ego and say, people might not appreciate this in the moment, but over time, this is going to be discussed more than a movie that just concludes easily. This is what the movie's about.
Yeah.
Boom, it's over.
I'm going to say it's been an hour. We need to move on to another film.
Before we move
minutes.
on. Yeah, I thought it was 40. Yeah, we're 46
I'm at
minutes
46
in.
minutes. Yeah.
I saw
We're pretty good on time, honestly. We're keeping things concise.
Yeah, we've got a good time here. All right, I've got a question. Do you guys have any complaints about the movie?
Fuck no.
Anything you didn't like?
It's a good question.
I'm trying to think back on it. I mean, it's written so well. It looks so good. Everyone in it is just kills it. Like, it's one of those movies that you can dissect and you find the problems in your own head about what you think. I need to turn off my mic because it's making me. But
Wait,
no,
what?
It's
Don't
confusing.
turn off your mic. What are you talking about?
No, I hear the feedback and it's on a delay.
Frankie's sabotaging the podcast.
He's not actually
myself.
recording. He just wants to waste 2 hours of our time.
It's recording. I just have monitoring. Okay, I'm taking the headphones off so I can talk normally. It's insane. I love the movie so much. It's beautiful. I'm gonna go turn off my headphones.
I have two little complaints. Very little. They don't take away from my rating of the movie, but the first one is in the opening. What?
Is it okay if I step away to go to the bathroom right now?
Why right now? Why not wait till we're done talking about the thing and then we can all take a bathroom break?
Like about the past 20 minutes.
But every podcast we take a bathroom break when we're done talking about one movie.
Just go. Just power through your things.
Okay.
Take your time.
The one complaint is in the opening title sequence, there's a UFO that looks really stupid. And
oh, right. That was what I forgot to mention.
Oh, because we don't want to talk about bathrooms.
Look at who wants to go to the bathroom now, you little shit.
Shut up. That was I don't know if you when you mentioned that, I don't know if you knew that there was that's a studio edition. After the movie was finished, after they made the movie, they said this is too ambiguous. Nobody's gonna know what's going on. Add this spaceship thing in the beginning of the movie so people know it's an alien. That was not John Carpenter's decision.
I'm sure this is the only time tonight that we're going to be talking about studio interference.
Yes, I'm sure this is the one occurrence of studio interference that we will mention in this movie. But yeah, that was like the one thing that they were like, you need to put this in the movie because audiences they're not going to get it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really dumb.
It's stupid. I forgot to mention that. I meant to mention. Yeah,
My other thing is, I think that whoever was in charge of the audio mixing, there were some points when it was a little jarring because there was some points where the music would be playing and then it would like immediately cut out and the volume was way lower and it was a little weird. And then there was another instance where it was the opposite, where there was no music and then suddenly there was music and it was really loud and it was just clearly not intended to be a jump scare. It was just a mistake in the audio mixing. Yeah. But those are just two very little complaints. It's me nitpicking.
It's a beautiful movie from beginning to end.
Yeah, there's a little weird audio thing when they put Wilford Brimley, who is this is an incredible performance by Wilford Brimley, especially with the axe scene where he's just destroying the entire server computer room. But when they put him in the shack because he's crazy or he's the Thing, there's like when they open the window and Kurt Russell's like talking to him, it sounds like I don't think they like what was it? Not dubbed, but like there's a term for it.
ADR.
ADR. I don't think they ADR'd his audio, but it sounds like he's standing in front of a microphone talking, and it's much louder, and like everything else kind of drowns out, and it sounds a little off, but I don't know. Maybe I guess maybe the audio just wasn't as up to snuff as, the entire rest of this incredible movie, but yeah. I think I could see where you're coming from with that.
So I guess the pretty good synopsis of this movie is a bunch of dudes stumble upon a really bad dog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, do you guys want to give our ratings? Then we could take a bathroom break and then discuss the next
9
one.
out of 10.
I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10.
I also would give this a 10 out of 10.
I love it. It's it's my favorite movie of the 1980s. I think it's up there as one of the best horror movies of all time.
Yeah.
With Psycho, with Alien.
Yeah.
Absolutely up there. I've never thought about what I think is the greatest horror movie of all time, but this would be a serious contender for that title.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll let you have that. I always love Hitchcock. Like The Birds and Psycho are like my 10 out of 10s, but okay.
Well, I mean, obviously, Wish Upon is the greatest horror movie ever made.
I'm gonna pour this White Claw over my microphone. So this
hard close. Hard close one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I guess we could take our designated
section.
podcast bathroom break.
Yeah. Only if we had sponsors. You think I can find sponsors?
The sponsor of today's video
You discussed
Read
that.
my-
is toilet
Rights.com.
paper. Buy a roll
Okay.
of toilet paper.
I'm gonna go.
All
take a
right, I'm gonna
bathroom
go.
break.
Let's all go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'll do a hard cut for
Hard
when we
cut.
come back, and then we'll be back to talking in the
And
magical use of editing.
I'm gonna
Go.
put some music. All right.
All right, seamless
Break
transition
time.
from
Okay.
one masterpiece to another.
Cheers. Clink.
Y'all want to talk about The Thing 2011?
Spaceship.
I would love to talk about The Thing 2011.
So synopsis of The Thing 2011. It is a movie.
That resembles The Thing 1983, 7?
All right,
Two?
so the thing is,
1982.
it was advertised like a remake,
Yes.
and it has the same title, so suggesting a reboot, but it's actually a prequel, meaning that this is actually a preboot.
Pre-boot. Yep. I also arrived at the exact same conclusion with the exact same word today.
I also want to know, how do we know it takes place in the 80s?
Oh, because they said the year on screen, Frankie. They typed it for us.
They
we don't need
did?
to figure it out with
I
context.
don't
Yes.
remember.
Isn't it
Nice.
great not having to think? The best movies ever made don't require you to think.
Yeah, you just get handed an alien spaceship and you're like, alien!
They just kind of tell you things, and then it's like, wow, this is fantastic. It's almost as if I have to put no effort into entertainment.
Wow.
Great.
Wow.
Let's get this out of the way. I wrote something down every time something in this movie annoyed me, and I have a page and a half of notes.
From just that.
This movie represents the worst part of Hollywood in every way, shape, or form. This is
Poltergeist
a nothing
reboot.
movie that is only made for money and no artistic integrity about it. And I think that the biggest issue with this movie is that it does absolutely nothing to justify its own existence.
Dude, Jesus. Yeah.
I'm gonna rip into this movie. I'm gonna be really mean.
Let's fuck
Me
it
too.
up. Fuck shit up.
Yeah. No, I definitely
Sorry,
think
I
that this movie doesn't it takes steps to actually make the original movie
Better.
like not worse, I guess, but the original movie, like, I think one of my favorite things about it is how you're going through with these characters through like exploring all of these details of like there's an axe buried in a wall of like this Norwegian base and there's blood all over it and you don't know why the Norwegians are shooting at this dog in the beginning of the movie, and then all of those questions are just answered in this prequel that doesn't need any reason to exist because the fun is the mystery of not knowing what happened, and then it just shows you poorly what happened.
Reminds me of Prometheus that came out the same year, I think.
Did it? No, it had to be.
I think
No.
they came out the same year. Am I wrong?
2011?
Prometheus?
No.
Prometheus was 2012. It was close.
Oh,
Prometheus
okay.
was
I
2012.
One
yeah.
year off. Gee,
Still closer than I
wonder
thought.
if there's a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely wasn't
This
the
movie
year
pretty
of
much
reboots.
does tons of things that the original movie did. Like, it has pretty much an identical beat for beat roadmap, and yet this movie doesn't understand a single thing about what made those resolutions so satisfying in the original movie.
Yeah.
It's like
Like cavity fillings.
it's like watching someone finish a marathon and say, "Oh, the key to their success is running through the finish line."
Yeah.
That's the first analogy that came to my head. I wrote, it's like the Thing original in 1982. Well, not original. You know what I mean. The 1982 version of the Thing had so many subtleties that made it what it was. And one of those things was the characters. Every single character had something to add. They were all different and they all filled different roles. And there was this interesting dichotomy among the characters, which is they can all bring something to the table and they can all remove something from the table. So they all had skills that were helpful, but they also had human instincts, which are ultimately selfish and sometimes detracted from the group. The Thing 2011 has none of those subtleties. Most of the characters have nothing going on, and their only reason to exist is to be brutally murdered by the monster. And only two characters actually accomplish things, which is the main character, who I have a laundry list of issues, and the doctor. So the scientist slash...
No, not even him.
The scientist guy
No
started
one.
the plot. Like, you can give him credit to the fact that he brought this girl with him, but then...
That's it. I
What?
mean, that's all he did. In all honesty, he did that and had porcelain fucking teeth. There was nothing important about him. I hated him. Even
I
when
hated
he wasn't
every
the
character.
monster.
Yeah.
What made you zero in on him?
Every character.
Because you were talking nicely about him for half a second.
I wasn't saying that as a good thing. I was saying
know,
that
but
as
you
the
still stood
characters
up
were
for him.
poorly balanced. They were not balanced well.
No one. There was no reason for any. What did anyone actually do there?
What'd you say?
What did anyone actually do? Name what that woman's job was. What was her science profession?
I don't know. It's
Exactly.
Isn't
I
she a
have
geologist or
so
something?
many
No,
issues
they
with
don't
her
say
character.
anything.
I think I'd rather get into that a little bit later with her character, but
Sure.
All right,
first, I want to just go off on a few things I have written down.
go.
Well, should we just start from what the beginning opening sequence is?
Okay.
Which is
the
yeah.
beginning, the opening sequence. I don't know about you guys, but the version I watched didn't have subtitles for that scene.
Me either. I wrote that down.
Yes,
Wait.
okay. You had this experience it. So
Mine
the
did.
original
I know what happened.
1982 version. Wait, hang on. Let me get this out. The 1982 version of The Thing, the original opening scene also did not have subtitles, even though the characters are speaking another language. That was okay because what they were saying was meant to be shrouded in mystery, And what was more important than what they're saying was what they were doing. So they were hunting down the dog and trying to shoot at it. That was the most important thing going on there. And then in
That's
this
not the
2011 version,
oh yeah, wait.
in the 2011 version, you have these people having whole ass conversations in another language with no subtitles, and we have no context, and they're doing nothing interesting on top of it. They're just driving. So I was just sitting there confused, thinking I had a broken version of the movie, and then I looked it up afterwards, and this was the intended version. Way to confusing us as to if we have the wrong version of the movie is a great way to start.
I'm checking it. I still have 38 hours left in my rental. I'm pretty sure mine has subtitles.
You have to check if they're enabled or not, because I also had the same thing happen where I had to double check my captions because people were talking in a different language and nothing was popping up on the screen. But it didn't look like anything was happening. They're just driving in like this snowcat thing, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to be getting out of this? Because I understand why they did it in the first thing or the original thing, but why is this happening? And then I turned my subtitles on and went back, and they're just telling a stupid joke. And that's the whole thing. It's like, why would you do this?
I remember the stupid joke.
This
Mine
makes no sense.
Subtitles. I also paid to watch this one. I paid $3.99 to rent it. $3.99 got charged to my credit card, and I got 3% of it back.
I pirated it. I don't give a fuck.
I was gonna say I gave the movie a pass originally because I borrowed it from a friend, but I went back and I was like, oh my god, this is actually what they did in the real movie. I thought this was just because it was a borrowing it from a friend version, but nope. It's just bad. It's just they made a really stupid decision. They were like, all right, this is good.
I didn't know the original didn't have the subtitles.
Not for when they're talking in Norwegian. Nope.
The first 15 minutes of this movie can be entirely removed, and I see nothing but an improvement. Because the first 15 minutes of this movie are essentially two scenes. The original one, the first scene where there's these people talking another language where the viewer thinks that they might be having technical issues with the version of the movie they have. And then the scene after that is the scientist doctor dude talking to this woman and telling her, I want you to come on this journey with us, this job, and her accepting the job. As to where in the 1982 version, you just saw them at the job. Like, we know they were offered the job. We don't need to see the scene of them applying to the job and then getting the job. We don't need to see it. Like, could you imagine the movie starting off with Kurt Russell in a suit going into an interview?
In an interview?
Yeah.
So what makes you feel like you'd be appropriate for this position?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That would really that's what the original movie was missing. It was missing.
Please list your qualifications. And then he just takes a giant bottle of whiskey out and just starts chugging. And it's like, yep, that's
You're
hired.
This was
You're
gasoline.
Anyways, moving
definitely.
on.
Next.
Another issue I have is that this movie kind of shows you it was so confusing. They showed you like a dead version of the monster, but like it wasn't like a transformed version. It was a literal dead version of the monster right away, and that's your first image of the monster. Like, there's no mystery to it.
I just thought about something. So we see the dead monster.
Frankie, stop thinking.
No. But we see the dead monster and then the transformed dude inside of him. So does the monster then, like, retract inward? How does that work? Does it shit it out and, like, okay, go have fun, other part of me? Like, what the fuck?
They just explained it like basically he just got... All right, so to back up the first real scene of the thing is that this dude gets basically impaled by a spike through the stomach and then gets pulled in. I guess this is after it breaks out of the ice in one of the most comically stupid fucking scenes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh my God.
But
Can we talk about that?
okay, all right. So in the original thing, in the 1982 version of the thing, one of the most intriguing aspects is when they're exploring their Norwegian base, and they find this giant block of ice that has this gaping center in the middle of it, and it looks like something broke out of it, and you're like, oh my god, what could have happened? This is crazy. But then in this movie, in of course a jump scare moment, because how else do you capitalize on this situation by adding unless just add a loud noise, the creature that they found in the ice just explodes out in this blur of motion that, okay, I'm terrified. I don't know, like...
This brings me to a huge complaint I have with this movie, which is the monster is completely different from the monster in the original movie. Because
it's willing to show itself constantly.
Yeah, because yes, it transforms like the monster in the original movie, but this is another one of those things where they like do something that on the surface is the same as the original, but the context that make it so great in the original isn't there anymore. And one of the context in the original movie, like we mentioned earlier, is the monster is smart and it only shows itself when A, it absolutely needs to, or B, it's willing to, it's like in an opportunity where it's alone with someone else and it can do that without anyone else noticing. Yeah. The monster in this movie is a generic horror movie monster that could be in any movie. This monster could be in Saw. This movie could be in The Conjuring. This movie could be in any throwaway horror movie, and it's not unique because it just shows up all the time with no subtlety.
Yeah, it's I mean, after it breaks out of the ice, it spikes somebody through the chest while everyone's trying to look for the monster. It spikes and we get our first character death, and then it just in front of another person also, it just kills somebody, and it's like you just want to spit in the face of the original movie so much. It's incredible because I mean, the thing just doesn't show itself unless it has to, but this one just spikes somebody and then pulls him in, and as they say later, it absorbs him in this like copycat scene of the autopsy scene from the first movie, which is done incredibly in the first one, and this movie it's just like, okay, I'm bored. Everything looks terrible. I'm gaining nothing from this. Whereas in the first one, it's just like Wilford Brimley's going like, ugh, 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 while he's just digging into this horrible, gross, disgusting thing. I just, yeah. They tried to do so many things from the 1982 version, and as you said, they did not understand why the 1982 version was so good at what it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. And it's like just showing us this hollow shell of the 1982 version. It's like if the 1982 version had no care and no one gave a shit. And I have a few complaints about the dissection scene.
So, a few? That's
oh my god.
Really? Are you sure?
The only practical effect.
They were talking, the only practical effect. They were talking about the character who had died, which had no build up at all to his character. So no one watching character.
Who was he? I don't remember his name, obviously. Like,
no, I don't remember anyone's name.
The only name I know is Kate. That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's Mary
her
Elizabeth
name.
Winstead,
I had to look
it
up,
it.
and I don't remember it still.
So, one of the characters said, I wrote this down, we're all shocked. And then immediately the camera cut to all the other characters, and I guess they didn't communicate this with the other actors because all of them just looked bored.
That's
like
shock,
no one
Richard.
looked like they wanted
shocked.
to be there.
It was like, okay, clearly not everyone's on the same page here.
Wait, shit, the camera's rolling? Oh, fuck.
Can we get another take? No, fuck it, that costs money.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll CGI your face.
Another thing was, I wrote this down. Mary Elizabeth Winstead pulls out this metal implant that was in the guy's arm from the autopsy, and she says, if this was in his arm, why is it out of him now? And I was thinking, like, okay, listen, you saw him get speared, eaten alive, shot at, and then burnt alive, and then absorbed. Do you really think his body is fully intact? Like, she took this as, like, some hugely important detail, but it's like his body clearly got ripped to shreds.
And can we talk how no one cares?
Yeah, no one cared until they were like, oh, we're all shocked. Yeah, you're all clearly shocked. One of you is clearly yo-yoing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this is meant to build up to the revelation that also I should probably come back to later, because this actually debunks the theory that people have that Giles is... It's not debunks because this movie just sucks, so nothing that happens matters. But the build-up is the reveal...
Petition to remove the thing 2011 from canon?
Yeah, the reveal that inorganic matter can't be consumed by this thing because it thrives off of organic matter, which is like, duh. Because she finds the fillings in the shower later on, or the bathroom later on.
Matter can't be replicated, so that means it doesn't get.
Or just that it gets discarded. Basically, when it absorbs somebody, anything that's like metal or anything just gets left behind because it can't eat that, it can't consume that. So that's the reveal, is that, and that's how they know later on the teeth scene, which is way less intense than the blood testing scene, obviously. But that's the big build-up.
Their dentists are shitty. I have fillings, and none of them look that bad.
Yeah. I have two.
Let's make the fillings really, really obvious.
Should I post a photo of my fillings? They're real bad. I have two really bad fillings in the back.
Do it.
Yeah, no, but it's just like they try to make it the blood scene, and it's not. It's literally like, my teeth have porcelain. I don't care. You don't care.
It's a very poor replication. It's just not intense at all, and you're just like, okay. It's just such a poor excuse for let's try and just make an idea of like, oh, it can't consume inorganic material. Whatever. This is how we're gonna set up for a testing scene. It's just so stupid, and I get so angry. I hate this movie. I hate it because it shares the title of one of the greatest movies that's ever been created, and that's what makes me so angry. Is that they had the audacity to grab the title of the thing.
Yeah. No one clearly gave a shit.
No.
This is like a factory-produced movie, and the worst part about it is, you would think that if they were remaking it and they were like, okay, this clearly isn't going to be a movie with wide appeal, let's at least make it so that the people who liked the original thing in 1982, let's make it so that those people would enjoy this movie. Maybe not the wide public would enjoy this, but let's make the fans of the thing enjoy this. And the most frustrating part about that is I cannot believe we haven't mentioned this yet. But
that they try to do that.
Yeah, so the fans of the 1982 thing, like us, the number one talking point is the practical effects. And
that's like at the top of our shopping list.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the thing that you need to have if you're remaking / prequeling, prebooting the thing. Like, this is the thing that you have to have.
Exactly. It was revolutionary in terms of the practical effects, and still to this day, I don't think a movie's topped its practical effects. You have more money than they originally did. You have better access to modern technology. There's no reason why this remake shouldn't have been the best practical effects ever. If they got the right people involved, it would be. It would have topped the original.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
They CG'd the entire thing, and the CG isn't even good.
It's terrible.
It's
None of
so
the movie's good.
Bad. It's like, there's that one scene that we made fun of where they go underneath the ice and there's CG breath. You could have just... What? You could have brought them to a cold location like they did in the original movie. Or, if you didn't want to do that, because, we don't need to put effort into our movies, you could have just not CG'd the breath, and I don't even think I would have noticed.
Yeah.
But they CG'd the breath, and it didn't even look good.
None of it looked good.
Yes, Frankie, please share your thoughts on the practical effects.
Oh my god. The one...
Or lack thereof, I guess.
Yeah, the one practical effect of the cut, and then I don't even think the looking inside of it is real. Like, it's just so... Like, that... why was that spaceship there? They could have cut all of that out, made that whole fight scene in the fucking snow, and it would have been still bad, in all honesty.
But it would have been better. The spaceship was so goofy and stupid.
Let me have engines that go blue. Boom. Like, I don't care. I don't care that it's about to take off. Just show me the inside, get it over with. Also, don't make it so fucking slow. Oh my god, I felt like we were in that spaceship for fucking an hour.
Yeah, the last 30 minutes are easily the worst part about this movie. And when you watch the first hour of this movie, you think, wow, this couldn't possibly get any worse. And then you see the last 30 minutes, and the director's just like, you thought, and then we...
Yeah, so I think we probably, in our anger, probably jumped right past the point of the practical effects thing.
Yeah, this we all got angry and got wrapped up.
So this movie originally did... There are videos out there. There are tons of images. This movie originally had practical effects. A lot of them existed. A lot of the... one of the worst CG effects that I saw was the... when... the I don't know, the stupid kind of love interest guy. I don't know who he was. When the two people fuse faces together.
Oh,
that was awful.
God.
That was originally a practical effect thing. Like, a lot of the things were, they were all practical effects. And the studio or somebody, we're assuming the studio or the producers, basically said, this doesn't look good enough, or people really like CG right now. Everyone's going to think this looks really, like, hokey, stupid for the time. Let's just switch everything over to CG, and it's such a it looks like such a disaster. The movement in the CG is just so fluid. It looks weird, and fluid in like a really bad way. Like it doesn't look realistic or human at all. And if they just stuck with the practical effects, at least there'd be something to pull away from this movie. But there's nothing. It's such a shame.
If they had left the practical effects in, then we could be like, all right, all this other shit is dumb, but at least it looks good.
They tried something. They gave a little bit of an effort, but they didn't. But
the filmmakers put a little bit of effort into making the practical effects, but then the studio ruined it. So it's like,
yeah, it's a big shame. Yeah, so studio meddling, it happens a lot.
I also,
obviously,
guys, I put a photo of my fillings.
We see the fillings and
my two metal fillings that I have.
Yeah, so they do the testing scene where because the creature can't consume basically teeth fillings or inorganic matter, and
anything that's not human.
It doesn't even hold a candle to the original testing scene.
And Mary
Here's
Elizabeth
my question.
Winstead.
I have a question. I'm raising my hand. How did it make clothes then?
How did it make what?
Clothes.
Frankie, stop being a little bitch and asking questions about the movie. Just stop thinking.
Frankie.
Listen, if you want
I
to enjoy the
literally
movie,
just thought of that, and it's pissing me off. How did it make clothes? Oh my god.
Maybe it's saying metal, just metal specifically. I don't know. They
say inorganic like 80 times.
I guess if their clothes were all like cotton or something, because cotton's kind of organic, I guess they could do that. I don't know. Cotton comes from the ground. I don't know. Like,
still dead.
They could write their way around it, but they don't really care enough, so they're not going to do it. So
the filling scene doesn't hold a candle to the.
Yeah, no.
No, it's awful.
There's
you
no
feel
tension.
Like you're there so long, and they're just like, "Open your mouth," and I'm like, "Just what?"
You know what pisses me off? Not a single character is like, "Hey, Kate, can we check your fillings?"
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Are we supposed to not know if she's one of them or not at the end? Because I honestly don't know.
I'm gonna rant about this when we're done with everything.
Oh yeah, we got it. We'll get to the ending later.
The
ending is a big
character of this
discussion.
movie
Actually,
is
there's a lot to the ending.
I have such a. I'm gonna go off about this main character because I hate her.
So filling scene.
Yeah, fillings.
We'll stay on track as much as we can.
We can't. This movie is worse
No, we
than
can't. We can do
Spider-Man
it.
3.
We have to be above
This movie's
above the movie.
Spider-Man 3. I can have so much. I have so much fun watching Spider-Man 3. Watching
yeah,
Thing
absolutely.
2011. pisses me off.
21.
It makes me angry. It makes me sad. It makes me just not want to ever sit down and watch a movie again. It's
There's
just-
Oh,
no
that guy's
excuse.
ASMR.
There's no
Nice.
excuse for this movie not to be a complete and perfect improvement on everything that the original movie did because they have access to modern technology, and yet they just failed on every level.
Yeah.
So, I noticed a massive plot hole in this movie, and it pissed me off.
Which one?
There were plot holes in this movie?
Yeah, okay, I noticed one. I didn't look
Dude, you're
this up, I
smart. You
just
picked
noticed
up on
it.
that? Good for you.
So, okay, do you guys remember the moment where Mary Elizabeth Winstead is walking with this dude towards like the end, and then the arm version of the thing pops out, and he cuts it in half with the
Yes.
axe? Okay,
Yes.
so I have two huge problems with the scene. One, he cuts it with the axe, and when he cuts it with the axe, there's this huge blood splatter all over the axe and all over the wall. Also, the arm breaks off into two creatures.
Yes.
So now that should be good for the thing because there are two things.
Multiplied, yeah.
But then they come back together to form one creature. There's no reason for that. And then they just burn it and kill it. There was no reason for that. They multiplied. And then
Well,
they came back together.
there is a
and they
reason
burned.
for this. There is a reason.
What's the reason?
The people who made this movie are stupid.
Yeah. They decided, hey, what if there was two of them?
That's the
No.
reason.
Okay, but that's not the biggest complaint about this. The biggest complaint that I have is that the axe creates a giant blood spatter on the wall. So the blood spatter is another thing now because
Yes,
now it's
it is.
another.
Yes.
It's a puddle of the
It's
thing's
spread.
blood, meaning it's a new thing, and we're led to believe that these characters know this, and yet they still don't burn it anyway. And the movie never returns to this point. They show this, the camera points to it, meaning this is 100% another thing, and it never becomes another thing. Even though within the logic of this series, the blood spatter would be another thing. And if this was like a little thing from the original 1982 version, I wouldn't have that big of a problem with it because I'd be like, whatever. But the best scene from that movie is when they're literally testing blood to see if it is a version of the thing. It's such an important detail of that movie. It's such a huge deal. And in this movie, there's a blood spatter of the thing. 100% that's a new thing. It never comes back.
Whatever. Who cares? Yeah.
I mean, can we talk
that's
about
true,
when
yeah.
they try to do a blood test and they don't ever talk about who burnt down the lab?
Yeah, fuck it. Who cares? We don't need to go back to that plot point.
Doesn't
Whatever.
matter.
Nah.
What are you thinking? What are you, some nerd?
You care about what happened? Fuck you.
Oh my god! I hate this
it's-
goddamn movie. I hate it so much.
It really just does such an injustice to the title. Yeah, and
I
they
feel pain talking about it.
yeah they technically, I mean, they try to do this stupid thing which I hate in movies, which is so stupid, where they kill, quote unquote, the thing like 3 times, where it's like, all right, it's dead now. But
I
there's
can
still
stop
like
watching.
40 minutes left in the movie. So what do you expect us to think? Like, you're not faking us out. Or do you think you're being smart? Like,
Wait, you were
it's
thinking?
within- yeah, I mean, it's, I just gotta sit here, and the only reason I had my brain on was because I was writing down notes to actually remember what actually happened in the movie, because I was so bored for like the entirety of the thing.
Oh my god, that's the
I
other
was
thing.
angry,
Is it doesn't make you want to watch it.
No,
No, yeah,
it's
Yeah.
boring, which is the worst kind of movie. It's just
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
The only reason I was ever invested at all is because I was angry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just viscerally hated this movie.
Yeah.
The CGI looks so bad. It's just they do everything wrong. And then I guess, do you guys want to get into the ending?
Oh, I wrote down a note for the filling scene. I just found it because in my
for it, tell
giant
us.
like So my notes with the amount of caps locks and just angry writing I did looks like the Joker notebook from the Todd Phillips Joker movie.
We
It just
truly
looks
do
like
live in
those
a society.
scramblings. So for the fillings scene, I wrote down the fillings test is really fucking dumb, and I can't believe how dumb it is. And that's my note.
No
But
explanation.
I wrote down 3 times, still not scared.
Honestly,
I stopped paying attention by 17 minutes is one of my notes.
same. I was checking my phone constantly. And it was like, oh no, this person's getting eaten. Should I be paying attention? I'm not going to.
I think, if I remember correctly, I fell into like an existential dread, just black hole where I wrote down nothing matters anymore. And
There is no God.
There is no God.
and oh yeah, so there was the main character the main actor from It Comes at Night is in this, and also one of the characters from Game of Thrones is in this. I don't know if Frankie knows.
Yeah, Peter Dinklage actually plays the Penguin.
Penguin.
I watched 2
Torvald,
seasons.
whatever his name is.
Is he past season 3?
He's the burly orange-haired guy.
I don't know. Oh, yes, I do. He's this. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, the
I was
first 4
shocked to
seasons
see
of
him in
Game
this
of
movie,
Thrones were
too.
pretty bad, but I think they made up for it in the 7th season.
7th, yes,
Anyways.
not the 8th. Richard, oops.
Is that guy?
Yeah,
supposed
I
to.
know.
Yeah. So he's in this, and I also vote to acronym Mary Elizabeth Winstead's name to Mew, and we'll just call her that from the rest of the podcast.
Okay. Mew, this is the worst. I almost
So I really hate Mew and how she portrays.
She was terrible.
I think.
She was really bad in this.
Okay.
I think almost comparing her to Mewtwo, the Pokemon, is wrong.
Okay, wait. Before we get into Mew, you guys want to talk about the ending? The last 30 minutes?
How's that getting into Mew before?
Okay, should we get into the character first or the ending?
I think we should just get everything else out of the way before the ending, because the ending will
I
God,
fittingly-
hate the main character of this movie
Yes.
so much.
She's
And
awful.
listen,
Open your mouth.
Okay, listen. I need to say a certain thing that annoys me so much in film discussion.
Are you gonna call her the Sea-Hero boy?
No, I'm not going to use...
Are you about to have a heated game?
I'm going to have a heated gamer moment. Okay. Two things. We can acknowledge 2 things at the same time, right? One,
Go.
we can acknowledge that angry nerds on the internet overuse the term Mary Sue. 2,
Yes.
we can also acknowledge that the term is still a usable one for bad written characters.
Of course, yeah. It's not devalidated because people overuse it. It still has a meaning to it. But
Just be
people don't know what the meaning is. But
Just because there are angry nerds who overuse this for any female character who can do anything doesn't mean that the term isn't valid. And this is one of the worst examples I have ever seen of a Mary Sue. And I wrote down a ton of notes over this. She is a doctor. She leads the crew, and not a single person questions her leadership. In the 1982 version, the leader was McCready, but he had to threaten them with dynamite for them to follow his orders. And they were always questioning why he was in charge. And then he was like, I'll blow us up if you don't listen to me. And then they did it. And not only does no one challenge her leadership, not a single person throughout the whole movie even brings up the possibility that she could be the Thing. In a movie...
that's the biggest egregious
Yes.
example. Yeah, that's the worst part.
Because in the point that makes the creature scary is anyone around you can be the Thing. And not only do the characters never bring up the possibility that she could be the Thing, the movie doesn't even treat that like a possibility. Which is, I think, a terrible thing.
Until the ending, which we'll talk about.
Hang on, I still have a few more points.
Go.
I wrote down this point, injuries that aren't injuries. Okay, this pisses me off. Every example, if you're wondering if a female character is truly a Mary Sue, I want you to a few things. One, are there a bunch of male characters who get injured in the movie? And 2, do the female characters also get injured nearly to the degree of the male character? So,
Female character.
yeah, exactly. So, this is a movie that is okay with showing the male characters being ripped limb from limb, burned alive, eaten, their hearts ripped out, every single thing. And the only injuries that this female character faces never actually negatively impacts her. She falls seemingly a high distance, but then immediately she gets back up afterwards. She gets swatted by the thing, but again, she immediately gets up afterwards. She's not bleeding. She has no injuries, and her makeup is still perfect. The thing when murdering the male characters is perfectly fine with accurately cutting through their chests and internal organs and merging with them. But when the thing always has a perfect opportunity to kill Mew, it swats her away from it, and then she's fine, and she gets up and she runs into this weird vent shaft, and the thing, which can shape-shift, cannot fit through this shaft, despite the fact that it can shape-shift, and it can't reach her. And then, when the thing does get her, instead of attaching to her or stabbing her immediately like it did with the other characters, it drags her out of the ventilator shaft, and then you think this is when it's going to kill her, and then it decides, I'm going to take a step back and then attack her. And then while that happens, it's the perfect opportunity for another character to come in and Deus Ex Machina save her. And this character was a thing anyway. Yes.
Was it though?
You heard the thing screeching, Frankie. This movie doesn't have subtlety.
Did we? I don't know. The ending is so, like, it's not debatable because it's literally fucking anything. It's the worst part of, it could be whatever I want it to be. I don't want that. I want to be guessing.
One final point about Mary Soonis is every time she thought someone was a thing, she was right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a very, very big flaw with the main character where I think so. The overall point with how bad she is in comparison to Kurt Russell's character is
awful.
You felt like scared for your characters constantly in the thing because first of all you made them likable, which is just already you don't want any of them to die, obviously. So when you do this whole thing where your main character seems seemingly invincible because she's the plot character, it removes any and all tension from the movie. And even if you don't like her, it's still like, she's the main character. Why am I ever feared of like the creature when she's in a scene? Because she's going to survive the scene. Honestly, when I watched the thing for the first time, I was like, I don't know who the main character could be, really, because Kurt Russell seems like the main character, but I feel like he could die at any moment, and I could be reversed, like a Psycho situation where the main character just changes like that, and I was waiting for it. But in this movie, the main character, she's good. Don't worry, bro. She'll survive the whole movie. She's good.
She knows who
and she does.
Exactly. It removes all tension from the movie.
It's unfortunate that they just don't know how to build characters and make things actually interesting. It's
I feel like. Are we getting into the end of this
I have more
movie
things
now?
I want to rant about this main character.
We're almost there.
Go.
We're almost there.
In the original movie, the 1982 version, like we said, every single character adds something to the group, and every single character can take away something from the group, and it makes all the characters interesting. In the 2011 version, the only characters that add anything to the group are Mew and the scientist dude. And the scientist dude, his only contribution was bringing in Mew. Mew does everything, and all the other characters are meat bags to get murdered by the creature.
Honestly, you don't care about them. It's like, oh no, the blonde number 7 dude has died. Aw. I get, like, it sucks. It's just, you don't care when the people die. You're like, Yeah, all right.
It's just
Exactly.
NPCs in your video game. That's it.
Exactly.
It's a shame that they killed Rhett. Did you guys also think that one character looked like Rhett
Who?
or Link? I don't know which one is which.
Ratatouille.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Listen, I hate to get like
I hate to get political, but this
yeah,
movie's
it's like
terrible.
one of those like I really hate to get into this thing, but it's like there's no way for me to talk about this movie without mentioning it that this movie genuinely feels sexist to me.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I have that written down
So,
too. Yeah.
It's
I
concerning
have notes about that.
it's 100% fine to show these men getting ripped limb from limb, organ from organ, and the only female character never really suffers an injury that impedes her. And what were you
Because
saying?
I mean, I think it's sexist in the other end that they've made her, one, the only female character, and two, she's the female character of the she's the main character, and she's female just so she can be female.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's both ways,
I'm not saying it's
definitely.
only
Like, if they
sexist
made
towards
her,
men. I
like,
didn't
it's
finish
unrealistic,
like
yeah.
everything I had to say. I think it's sexist in both directions.
No,
Because
I'm not. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to point out. It's like, I don't care that she's a woman. Like, I'm not like, oh yeah, a woman fighting like in I Care in Jurassic World about Bryce Dallas Howard, in all honesty. But in like this, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care about anyone in it to even care that she's a badass woman, because she wasn't.
she did nothing to earn it. And this is the thing that I notice in many movies, and it bugs me so much because I think it's sexist and I don't see anyone talking about it. And it's action or horror movies where there's a lot of violence and the male characters seemingly get ripped limb from limb. Any amount of violence towards them is okay, and then none towards female characters are okay. And I think it's sexist towards women because it seemingly puts them in this position where they can't be on the same playing field. And I think it's also sexist towards men because then it's like, why is it okay to show this gruesome violence unto these men and not to these women? It's like, it's a weird double standard, and and no one's seemingly calling it. I've never seen anyone call it out. This is something I've been thinking about myself, and I maybe tons of people have talked about this, and I just never noticed. But it's just something I've never seen talk about. Like not Furious 7, Hobbs and Shaw. That movie, it was my biggest complaint about that movie was. Yes,
watched
I
it?
have a review of it.
Oh,
It's like
poor
this
thing.
female character never is. She's always kicking ass, but she's never really involved in the action because nothing she does progresses the action, and she never actually gets injured. So it's like, what's? Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
just. And I don't look. I hate it getting into gender politics regarding movies, but I feel like with this movie, it's impossible for me to honestly discuss it without bringing this up.
Yeah, because
Yeah, seeing your main character beat down and like, taking blows makes you feel for them more. It makes you feel like they're not just an invincible main character that's going to be fine for the whole movie. And in this, it's just like, all right, she's fine. And where it's like, if you see your main character taking some hits and really feeling like they're in danger, that always elevates everything. And there's been precedents set about like changing main characters or killing somebody unexpectedly. Like, it's not like you don't have to do that. Like, it's
she's
ridiculous.
just there to be there. Like, I felt like they tried to make her a woman just to make her a woman.
She was most of their budget. That's why they have in most of the movies. Like, all right, guys, we got to get Mew for this one. Come on,
You gotta get Mew. She was just
guys,
in,
Mew. We need
She was in a popular movie a year ago. We need to
Scott
destroy
Pilgrim.
her career.
not wrong.
Take her. If we're going down, she's coming
Maybe
with
that's
us.
what
Take her down.
maybe that's what this whole movie was just a plot to destroy Mew's career.
Oh God.
Yeah. All right, let's just get the ending over with. Let's
What
just
the
do
fuck
it.
happened with the ending? It's like
Let's do it.
it's a completely
do
different
it.
movie in the end. It's like there's a spaceship underground. Like all the subtlety is just gone, and
yeah.
now there's a spaceship.
They
we
established
saw
that
the
stupid
spaceship
spaceship.
in the beginning, but
Yeah,
like there was
which
no
is-
why.
Which
And
yeah,
also,
there's
if
no
this is a prequel, how do they not know?
That's a good point.
it's yeah. It's stupid. It's trying to be clever by being like, hey, we set up this and it paid off in the end. Oh my god. But no,
didn't,
it's just dumb.
though.
It's just stupid. It's and I mean, Frankie and I, both of us, when we looked up this movie online, one of the first Google images that you will see if you look up the Thing 2011 is the horrible face, stupid thing creature right at
looks
the
like a
end of the
final
movie.
boss
And
fight.
it's the final version. Yeah, it's the final version you see of the Thing, and it looks so bad. It's
so bad.
unbelievable.
Awful. It's awful.
It is the least scary thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Honestly, it's like you're watching a horror film and you're like, okay, I guess
not
that's what
scary
it
at
would
all.
look like. No, because you can like picture it without having to think that hard.
Exactly. Like if you suggest an image and then the audience comes up with whatever it looked like in their head, that's gonna scare them more than just showing this goddamn CG nightmare of just
Yep.
oh, let's put a face with some
Yeah.
tentacles. Fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, horror movies are all about just playing your cards close
Yeah.
to your chest. That's it. You have to hold everything and wait for the audience to use their imagination, because that is the thing that will scare you the most, is just, what can I think this creature would look like? And then you just unveil this giant CG monster in front of you, and you're like, I am just ready to go hang myself, like Wilford Brimley was in the original Thing. And that is just, it's just the most disappointing. I mean, by that point in the movie, I guess I was just so done that I didn't care anymore, and I just started laughing. So I guess
What
there's
was
that.
she
but-
looking at? Do you know that like tower of like Tetris that she
Yeah,
was
I was gonna bring
watching?
that up.
What
There's this,
even
like, a
the
pillar
fuck
of
was that?
Yeah, what was that?
What was that?
Is this
And
also
it's
a
a-
prequel to Pixels?
Adam Sandler
It's like
pops
you
out of
look
it.
at this and it's like, this is supposed to make sense. This is the moment where it all. I don't know what the fuck it was. Was it the control unit? Was it like the information? Like, what the
don't
fuck
even
was
think the
it?
filmmakers
Oh my
know.
god, that movie sucked.
See, this is the level of speculation the filmmakers wanted to capture after the first movie, you know, where everyone was like, oh my god, what's that ending about? They're like, yo guys, let's just put this fucking weird-ass pixel thing and just let everyone figure it out.
You know
And
how
then
Inception
blow it
came
up.
out
Fan
a year
theories,
ago?
they're
This will
gonna
be
be
our spinning
incredible.
top.
This is it.
Okay,
This is
we'll
the
blow
moment.
up the pixel thing too, so it doesn't matter.
You see, the pixel pillar in this movie is
Like-
essentially the big rectangle in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, like, you know, that's it. Yeah.
Look, I'm not saying
just-
2001 is as good as this movie, but like,
But it's not.
do you guys have anything good to say about this movie?
No.
Wait. Before we do that, so the ending is that she burns alive guy from It Comes at Night in the Snowcat, because she's like, hey, you used to have an earring in your ear and now it's not there anymore. It can't consume inorganic material. I'm gonna burn you alive because you're the Thing. So
Wait,
that's
that's
the
why
not
she
get that?
burns him?
yeah. She burns him because he didn't have an earring
No!
in the ear. Yeah.
I was like,
She
why did
straight
she
up
do
said it
this?
out
I'm like,
loud,
this makes
Yeah.
no sense. Did she?
She explained it to the
honestly
audience.
didn't want to pay
Definitely
attention.
just on your phone.
She explained it to the audience while she was looking right at the camera and just said, "Hey, everybody, this is the ending of the movie."
I like it when the characters spell out
this
exactly what the
actually-
movie's about. That way I don't have to think.
Yeah, it's just, you know, I don't have to think. Yeah, it's.
I wasn't thinking. I was thinking about Instagram.
I mentioned this earlier, but this is how this movie actually retroactively dispels all of the theories of the first movie. Is that Childs has an earring on his right ear. So that means they're saying that he can't be the Thing from the first movie when that ends because it didn't consume the
Fucking
inorganic
pisses me
material.
off.
It's a direct fuck you to the first movie. It's so bad.
It's a fuck you to
It
the
makes me
first
so
movie to be
angry.
a fuck you to the theory. Like, it doesn't, like, they couldn't have, like, oh.
Yep. They're saying he has an earring in, so he can't be the thing.
The makers of this movie
Got him.
claim that they
Suck
love
that,
the
John Carpenter.
original, and this is like, oh, it's such an homage. I don't buy a single fucking word of that.
No,
No.
it's a
Yeah,
money
you all
grab.
did this for a paycheck. Just fucking own it. This killed Mew's career. She hasn't been in anything nearly as noticeable as Scott Pilgrim since then. Her career's gone. No one in this movie went on to do anything of note.
Also, how is this a prequel besides giving it? What is it? How does it
You
connect?
see Frankie. They
Did you watch the post-credit scene, idiot?
Wait, there's a post. I did
There's a
not.
post-credit scene.
Oh no! Oh no!
Or I guess it's like a mid-credits scene, kind
Oh
of.
my
I
god, it's
literally
like a
gave up.
preboot within the
So I
prequels.
didn't. Hold up.
Yeah, so this movie ends with when the credits start rolling, it cuts to the beginning of the first movie, or the original movie, where the dog's running across the
Oh my
snowy
god,
tundra.
it's just like The
to
Godfather
say,
Part 2.
hey, this happened right before. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
I'm literally trying to pull up the $3.99 I spent to watch this movie. Oh my god! I can't believe I put my. Oh my god! This movie.
I think
is
if
so
anything,
bad.
this movie proves that God isn't real.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much
Yeah.
the nail in the coffin.
Do you
on
guys
this
have
one.
any positive things to say about this movie?
Let me go
No.
through my notes.
Okay,
The
Birmingham
snowcats look like the
Alive,
Magic School Bus.
He's on fire.
All of the snowcat things that they were driving around, those yellow boxes, they look like the Magic School Bus.
Get on the Magic School Bus.
That's positive.
I wrote down this one dude is pretty good at the mandolin.
I did have. I did have one positive, but my note is so, just strange and out there that I
read it
don't
to
even
us
know
and
what
we'll
I
try
was
to
talking
decipher
about.
it.
Oh my god! The post-credit scene. I'm watching it.
Okay, so this is after the fillings test because I wrote this after the fillings note, and I just wrote good little moment where the last guy just runs over with the bunch. I don't know what the fuck that means. I just wrote it down. I was drunk. I don't know. So I guess I had one thing positive, but I don't remember it. So nothing was positive.
Mew is hot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
There you go. You got your eye candy for the movie.
You could look at a hot
Not-
woman while watching this movie. That's the only positive. I don't know. You could do that on the internet, and it doesn't take an hour and a half.
And it doesn't suck. And that's it.
Wait, so I'm watching this post-credit scene
watching it
as we
now?
speak. The guy yes, the guy who comes out of the helicopter sees the side-by-side face thing. He doesn't report that?
Frankie, stop thinking. Oh, wait, I want to read one of the notes. I completely forgot I did this until just now. When I was watching the ending, I just wrote down spaceship.wtf.jpg. All right, do we want to give our ratings? I don't think we have anything else to say.
Yeah, let's just do that, and then
I'm giving this one
cut
a
this,
1
yeah.
out of 10. There's nothing redeeming about it. It's one of the worst movies ever made. I hate it.
Wait, who's shooting at the
Me.
helicopter dude?
Doesn't matter.
All right,
cares?
Who is
you
that?
guys, what's your ratings?
I mean, there was just so much more that was worse about this that we just didn't even talk about. But I mean, there's
Oh yeah,
there's
I have
hours
so
that you
many
could
notes
just
I
say
didn't
about
even
this,
mention, but I was like,
it's
this is gonna take forever.
But definitely, yeah, definitely 1 out of 10. Probably 0 out of 10. I don't know. It just made me angry the entire time.
IMDb
just-
doesn't let you do a 0,
Well,
so I
no,
just
it's a
said
1.
1 because that's the lowest you can do on IMDb.
Yeah, one sounds good.
Frankie, what do you think?
Yeah.
1 out of 10. This movie sucks. Like the two of them are. I'm watching the end that I didn't watch. The two of them currently are getting into a helicopter. And how do none of them know if this is a fucking prequel? How do none
Yeah.
of them know?
This is
just-
genuinely
yeah.
one of the worst
Two
movies ever
people got
made.
out.
I hate this movie with a burning passion. And you see, this is the second time I watched it. And the first time I
sure.
watched
I
it was me, Jake, and some of our friends were all drinking and watching it. So I didn't really pay that much attention. And it was funny bad. This time it was just. Yeah, we
we gave
didn't
up.
watch the full
We
thing.
also didn't watch,
this time
like,
I was
more than 30
100%
minutes.
sober,
Yeah.
watching it by myself in my living room, and it just feels so much worse. And it doesn't just feel worse; it feels like scummy. Like I feel gross watching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I finished this movie officially now. What the fuck?
I genuinely
Great.
hate this movie. It's so bad.
It's funny because I feel more gross watching this than the horribly gory, disgusting original
Yeah.
version that has the most like graphically gross out, like beautiful practical effects. And I still feel much grosser watching the remake. Yeah.
I think I could take a video of me stepping in bird shit, and it would be better than this movie.
Honestly.
Yeah, then I could say
Artistic.
there's symbolism. I put it in black and white and
Yeah.
change the aspect ratio, and then say it's art. What was that? Is that it? Any other comments?
I'm good.
Fuck
I
this
think,
movie.
I think we've destroyed this.
All right,
stupid
well, then
piece
the
of shit to
first
pieces.
movie on our podcast that we all gave the same grade to was The Thing 2011.
It's The Thing, 2011. Wow.
Second closest being Spider-Man
Did we all
2.
wait? I gave that a 9. Jake gave it a 9, right?
And I
Okay,
gave it
so we're
like
close.
an 8. Oh no, the cat's gonna knock over my White Claw tower.
that's how we
So
end it.
now it's my turn to pick the topic of the next podcast, since we've all gone full circle.
It is, we rotated.
And the first episode of the podcast, it was my decision what the topic was, and I picked that all of us would find 2 crazy conspiracy theories and discuss them.
3.
And
2?
I think this time it would be fun for us to find 2 crazy scientific experiments that actually happened, and we could discuss them on the podcast.
Sure.
Ooh, I'm gonna look for New
I think
Jersey
it could be
ones.
fun. You know, just look up crazy scientific.
Sounds good.
I call the Montauk experiment.
All right.
I call the mouse utopia experiment.
Oh, the cat did it.
No, the White Claws.
I had to call it because I was afraid Jake was going to take it. All right, I think
right.
that's it. Any final notes from you guys?
Fuck the remake. Watch the original thing. It's if you have cable, it's 3 on demand currently.
Jake, you got anything?
That's it. I'm good. It's just.
All right,
watch
I'm
The
gonna
Thing.
eat some
It's amazing.
peaches and
One
cream
of the
while
best movies
watching
ever.
Call Me by
That's
Your
it.
Name. Have a good night, guys.
Ew.
And stop.
Bye.